Hello, hello. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Balanced Mama Project. I'm Dr. Lisa Desai, occupational therapist, mom, and one of the co founders of the Balanced Mama Project. I am so glad you're here. So let's just get right into it. So, if you've ever crawled into bed at night with a racing mind, just full of unfinished to do lists, even if your partner is right next to you, you're not alone. That heavy, invisible checklist, it has a name. It's called the mental load of motherhood. And I'm sure this is not the first time you're hearing about it. It's all over, social media. People talk about it pretty often. Um, but unfortunately, it goes unaddressed just as often. So I'd love to talk more about it and unpack exactly what the mental load really is, how it affects our health and our relationships, and how occupational therapy can give you the tools to lighten that mental load so you can feel more present, more connected, and just more steady in your day to day life. So let's just briefly kind of talk about what the mental load is. It's basically this invisible work of planning, organizing, anticipating, and remembering all the moving pieces of family life. It's not just like physical tasks, it's the constant, like, actual process of thinking about them. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, this mental load falls on the mother. Um, remembering doctor's appointments. Oh, I have to take this baby here. I have to remember to take this baby there. And that's not saying that, your partner isn't present and not helping, but usually it's the moms that are the ones that begin to struggle with this mental load because it's constantly just weighing on us. So, some examples, and I'm pretty sure as you hear these, you'll be like, yep, 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 it's true. This falls on me, or I'm constantly thinking about this. It's always in my mind. So, remembering things like well baby checkups, keeping track of school signups. For me right now, it's like looking up the DC public charter schools to see where I want to send my kids because you got to rank them and you got to do this, and just figuring out the whole ranking system. Anticipating your baby's next nap. Is it going to happen? Oh my gosh, do I have enough time to go out and get back? Meal planning, restocking diapers, sending things to daycare as they run out, and always having to remember, like, okay, I got to get this done at this time. Other things are just emotionally checking in with just your family and friends because that's something that you don't want to lose either, right? So you're trying to keep these connections, you're trying to do what you need to do to keep your family going. And at that same time, you're carrying this invisible load, this mental load that's burning you out um, as well. So, what does this mental load do? Kind of what I just said, right? You're getting burnt out. There might be like some sort of resentment. It might be resentment towards your partner. It might be resentment towards your kids. It might just be resentment towards this like life that you had envisioned, and now it's just not the way that it's panning out to be. So resentment towards your old life and resentment towards what you were hoping that your life would be. Other things are just your loss of your self identity. So again, that falls back on like what you had expected this life of yours to turn out into. Like, you have these amazing kids and you thought, you know, oh my gosh, once I have kids, I'm still gonna be this person that goes out on Friday nights and is hanging out with my friends, or I'm going to the movies, or I'm playing sports, whatever it is that you really enjoy doing. Even if it's like going to work, holding a full time job, sometimes moms do give that up. And again, that might feel like a loss of identity to you. And it's important to realize that this mental load that you carry can lead to these things. Another one that we often see is relationship strains. And not necessarily just relationships with your partner, but it can be relationship with your friends. It can be relationships with your parents, with your family, other family members. Um, there's just so many different things that impact, that this mental load can impact. So, um, if you if you feel this way, it's not because you're weak. It's because our culture has put this unrealistic expectations on moms. You have to remember, you're human. Like, these things are not meant to be carried alone. Um, you deserve the support. You deserve the help, whether it's coming from your village, which is your family, your friends, your partner, if it's coming from support groups you're in, if it's coming from your mental health counselor, whoever it's coming from, you deserve that help and that support. You just have to remember that. So, what can OT do basically to help you with this mental load? So, as OTs, we like help people thrive in their roles. That's our goal, right? We want you to have good roles, good routines, and a supportive environment. So for moms, that means making your daily life sustainable, not just surviving. So when we talk about roles, routines, habits, all of that, it's your everyday life, right? Like, what are you doing from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep? What are the important roles for you? Is it first, you're a partner, second, you're a mother, third, your full-time job, your part-time job, your hobby, whatever it is? Those are all roles that you have in life, right? What you want to do is you want to learn to make these routines. So when you make your routine, you're thinking about your everyday things that you're doing, along with, on this Tuesday, I might have to pop into yoga. On this Wednesday, I have to take my kid to the doctor. I have to take them to the dentist. Those are your daily routines. Your environment is where you are. Are you at your house? Is this at work? Is this at your parents' house? Is this at the park? Things like that. So that's where your environment is. In any of those places, any of those roles, any of those routines, we want to make sure that you are thriving, you're making life sustainable, you're making your daily habits and routines doable for you and what feels doable for you. So, as OTs, what we really work on is we're shifting from the individual to the partner to the mother role. We want to rebuild your identity, help you rebuild your identity when motherhood feels way too all consuming. And then you want to balance caregiving with self care, rest, purpose. All of those things that are important to you are you what help you with being able to balance your mental load. So while you might still have all those things going on, including doctor's appointments for yourself, for your kids, sports practices, signing them up for daycare, signing them up for preschool, figuring this out, figuring that out. There's ways to be able to handle all that and balance it with also being able to take care of yourself, find your rest, find your purpose. So, what are some tools, you might ask, that OT uses to put all of this into practice? And what we do is we look at your routines. Is there a flow? Is it all chaos? And some people, myself included, I thrive in chaos. I am not an organized person. I do way better when I just am like, all right, I gotta get this done, this, and this. I don't love checklists, and some people thrive on checklists. So what we do as OTs is we meet you where you are. We want to know how you do your daily life. Is there a flow to it? Are you organized chaos kind of person, that's how you find your routine. And then we want to work on supporting roles. So, what's yours versus what can be shared? Is there something that you can outsource? Maybe cleaning your house, right? Like, I think that's a more common thing with millennials and younger is like the thought of cleaning your house is just not a thing. Most people have housekeepers, right? That they're hiring, even if it's once a month to help do a clean in the house. And that honestly can make or break a huge chunk of your time, a huge chunk of what your mental load is, what you're putting more emphasis on. So things like that. Some people like hire a babysitter, some people hire just care for after school where they're like, okay, come hang out with my kid for 2 hours while I get everything together. And then you and your kids can share and your family can share the rest of that, evening together and spend that quality time that you're looking for. Some people might be looking into um you know wash and fold laundry services, things like that. So you have to find what's important to you to be able to do versus what you can either outsource, you can ask for help from family, you can ask for help from your significant other. Things like, hey, do you mind packing the lunch for, so and so tomorrow? Do you mind just putting their snacks in the bag, filling up their water bottles? Do you mind doing the dishes? Whatever it is that you feel the mental load can be split between other people. Adjusting your environment. So, ergonomic feeding setups, organizing spaces to reduce just being overwhelmed. And again, this is in that environment. So when you think of an environment, you're not only thinking of your home, that one place that you think of. Your environment is going to be ever changing. It's going to be wherever you are and wherever you need that help. So again, like I said, it can be your house, it can be, your parents' house, it can be your full-time job, it can be at a park. These are all places that you have to learn to adapt, and that's what an occupational therapist in maternal health can really help you do, is be like, okay, so you're going to have to feed your baby at the park. You're not used to this. What are some techniques that we can do to help you alleviate some of that physical burden on sitting at a park bench to be able to feed your baby? Or hey, you know what, do you think we can make it home in time if my baby needs to be fed in 2 hours? How about we do an hour and a half at the park and get home so I feel more comfortable in my environment where I have the things set up in order to be successful with breastfeeding my baby? So when you think of an environment, just remember it's an ever changing, adaptable scenario. All right. So my favorite thing about doing these podcasts is always just stories from either patients that I've had or just things that I've experienced where I'm like, I know I cannot be the only one that's felt this way. So when I think about just the mental load stories, I think of so many of my patients. I think of myself. Um, I think of basically every mom out there who probably feels the same way. But I remember there was one mom like specifically who I worked with, and she had two kids under two. She was holding every detail in her head: appointments, meals, tantrum management, just even reminding her partner to call the pediatrician. And in today's like day and age where we have social media and you're just like scrolling through Instagram and you see 50 million different things that you should be doing to help your kid meet milestones or to help them self-regulate, to help them, just all these things that you're just constantly being like bombarded with. And now you're trying to remember all these tips and techniques on top of everything else that you're already doing, you know? And so she was like the perfect example of that because I remember her coming in and telling me like, "Oh, well, I saw on Instagram that if I want, my baby to start crawling and teach them like to hit these milestones, these are some techniques I can use. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, those are, but your baby's also only 4 months old. Like, that's not a milestone you need to be thinking about right now, you know? You're you're just being infiltrated, not infiltrated. You're just having so many things thrown at you that you don't realize like what you need and what you don't need because your brain's having a hard time categorizing it. So, she started becoming resentful. She was exhausted, not just mentally, but also physically exhausted. So, so through OT, what we did was we mapped out her daily routines. We mapped out like things that she can work on with her baby that are appropriate milestones. Um, we identified the invisible load she was carrying, and we created a plan. Like, our plan was to figure out, hey, how can you share this responsibility? What can you outsource? What can you split with? Maybe she had support from her parents, so she could ask them for these things. So, what are some things that maybe you can ask your parents for? Hey, do you mind watching my younger one for maybe 2 hours while I spend some quality time with my older kid? Because one of the other things that she was facing was that she was feeling that she took away that one on one time from her older child, and that was making her feel resentful, a little resentful of the baby, which is also common, right? Because you've had all this time with your older child and now somebody new is in here and you're like, oh, I miss, spending time with just one-on-one with these kids. So that was a great way for her to think this through and be like, okay, well, maybe this is something I can do to help me. Um, you know, like I said before, it's not just like a logistical shift. You just feel so much lighter emotionally. Your relationships grow stronger, whether it's with your partner, your friends, your parents, other family. It's just, you strengthen these bonds. And sometimes when you ask for that help, it makes other people also feel validated, like, oh, you know what? She trusts me. She thinks that I might be able to help her with doing these things. And that can also strengthen a relationship at the end of the day. All right. So let's talk about some practical tools that you can try today. So, one, there's the brain dump and delegate. So, what you want to do is you want to write out every invisible task you're holding. And I know I've mentioned these a bunch of times, but I'll just go through some of them again because as moms, sometimes we don't realize what the invisible mental load is. We just feel like these are all our responsibilities at all times. So, going restocking diapers. For example, I really need to make an order right now because there is a sale on Pampers. I'm like, I don't want to miss out on this, but I haven't done it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my husband, hey, can you go ahead and just order these diapers because I'm not going to remember this. And I really need to get it done. So things like that. Again, daycare supplies, doing laundry, making your kids like 6 month appointment for their wellness visit, doing their dentist appointment. All of these things are mental load. So go ahead, write them all out, and then mark ones that only you can do that nobody else can possibly do. So, like, for example, breastfeeding your baby is only something that you can do. um you know Circle the ones that someone else could do, and then pick one this week that you would like to delegate. So if you would like to delegate your packing the lunch for your kids, or doing the laundry, or washing the dishes one of the nights of the week, or even like every night of the week, that's one task that you can delegate for somebody else to do. Another excellent tool that you can use is called the role reset conversation. And just be open. It's hard, right? It's hard for people to be open in conversations like this where you feel like now you're dumping your stuff on somebody else, when really what you're asking is you're just asking for help and support. So sit with your partner and say, hey, here's what I've been carrying, and here's where I need the support. Can you please help me with this, and this? you want to be very concrete when you ask for that help. You just don't want to be like wishy-washy. Like, hey, like I just feel, down and I need help with this. Be concrete. Be like, hey, this is really impacting my mental health. For example, will you be able to do the bedtime routines with the older baby, with the older child, and I can do it with the younger child? Hey, can you put in the grocery order, Instacart, wherever it is? Can you go to Costco this weekend instead of me? And when you are specific with your needs and your ask, it makes it easier for the other person as well because they can understand where you're coming from um, when you're asking for that help. And then the third thing is micro moments of rest. So, as an OT, we emphasize integrating rest into your routines. When people think of resting, they think of lazy, they think of sleeping, they think of wasted time where you're not doing something. But we've discussed this in our other podcasts. Rest is so important to refuel yourself, right? To fill your cup up. And without resting, you're burning on fumes. You're running on fumes. And when you're running on fumes, you become easily agitated. You become just not happy, right? Because you're just like, oh, I'm just trying to get this done, but I just don't have any more energy left to do it. So, really think about bringing that rest in. And rest doesn't always mean going to sleep. Rest doesn't always mean just, closing your eyes and doing whatever it is that you think you're doing. It can literally just be like a grounding breath while you're feeding your baby, a mindful stretch while waiting for your kettle to warm up, for your coffee, your tea, whatever, or just doing a quick little journal entry, but like it could literally be a minute to 3 minutes. It doesn't need to be anything extravagantly long, before bed, in the morning, whenever you feel comfortable. And I have said this before, and I'll say it a million more times. I love journaling. I think journaling is one of the best tools that you can practice because it is your way of releasing all this emotional burden that you feel on yourself, or just kind of recapping your day and seeing like, hey, I was really thankful for this, that this happened today, or this made me really happy. um so journaling doesn't always have to be just about negative things, but it can be about, what you're grateful for, how that helped you get through the day today, and all of that. So those are three practical tools that I really like to you know recommend to my patients when they're struggling with the mental load. So why does this matter in your relationship, especially the relationship that you have with your partner? It's reducing that mental load. Again, like I said before, it prevents resentment. And when you start having resentment, things become real toxic real quick. And you want to prevent that, right? Because everybody's looking for happiness and how they can make each other happy. So when you start delegating tasks, when you start using some of these techniques of um, mindfulness, grounding, journaling, anything like that, you're learning how to let go of that resentment, delegate tasks, and not feel so burnt out, worn out all the time. You know, it creates teamwork instead of imbalance. And again, that's where that resentment comes in. So you and your partner are doing things as a team as opposed to you feeling like you're just always doing something and your partner's, getting to do whatever they want, like going out on that Friday night or going on guys trips all the time where you're stuck at home and, not being able to do anything because the childcare all falls on you. So that's number two. And then number three, your kids benefit from parents who model shared responsibility. When you look at, you know, just households, when your kids see that, hey, My parents are helping each other to make sure that I can have a nutritious meal at school, or that I can get to school and feel safe and feel that both of my parents were able to help me with this. So they see that. They see the dad helping with the laundry. They see the mom doing, you know, other household tasks, but the dad also being there, or the partner, other parent also being there, not necessarily a dad. Um, then, again, like I said before, it's not just about chores, it's about creating a system that keeps families healthy, happy, and that's your definition of whatever you may think happy and healthy is. So just remember, you don't have to carry this all alone. You're not failing if you need help. You're just human. All of us are human. All of us need help with something. And this mental load can really, really impact you in a negative way. So just ask for the help. It's okay. Again, you're human. We're all human. And essentially, sharing the load or asking to share the load is a sign of strength, right? You have the courage to talk to your partner and be like, hey, I am feeling really burnt out. I really need help with the bedtime routine. I really need help with the laundry. I really need help with getting dinner for the week. And you know what? You guys may just be like, you know what? This is the week that we're just ordering out every day. It is what it is. We're both really busy with work. We both are really busy at home. We just don't have the time to sit here and cook a meal every single day. So it might just be that you order out the whole week. But at the end of the day, you asked to share that load. You shared your emotions, you shared your feelings with your partner, which is creating that bond. So, you know, inside the Balanced Mama Project, we go a lot deeper into these tools with coaching, resources, and community. So if you're craving real support, send us a DM on Instagram, and our handle is at Balanced Mama Project, or head to our website and book a call. We'd love to chat with you and walk you through this journey of holistic motherhood. So take a breath, give yourself grace, and remember, balance isn't about doing it all. It's about being supported while you do what matters most. And I will see you next time. Bye. Stay balanced, mamas.